Rev up your engines!
Anthony Ortega says, Scotty, what's a good first truck to buy? I'm 18, I don't have much money. Well, in your case, it's going to be the cheapest, decent truck you can find. You know, you're not going to find a Toyota Tacoma cheap. Even if it's old, people know they're worth money. You might look at Ford Rangers. You also might look at Nissan Frontiers. I'm not a Nissan fan, but the Frontiers are decent trucks, and they go for a lot less when they're used. I got a customer yesterday, he's got two, and he loves them. He runs a business, and he's been running those Frontiers, 180, 160,000 on the other, and they still run fine. He hasn't put any money into them other than oil changes and brake jobs. So they're not that bad. You're not going to be able to pick and choose if you don't have much money. So take a look at those and see. I mean, if you find a good F-150, but it's going to be pretty old if you don't have much money, and it might be all worn out. Try to find a mechanic like me to have him check it out before you buy, because if it's your first vehicle, you don't know that much about vehicles. You don't want to be stung with a bad used vehicle. Have a mechanic check it out. Max Warner says, what is the best used car and cheap? Well, generally used and cheap and best do not go together well. You never know. Go to estate sales. You know, a Toyota Corolla, Toyota Camry, Honda Civic, Honda Accord, they're all really excellent, well-built cars, but really good ones are never that cheap. So even, let's say, you found an old Buick. Maybe some old grandpa either kicked the bucket or he can't drive anymore, and his relatives are selling his old Buick. Maybe it's 20 years old, but maybe it's only got 20,000 miles. Still might have a lot of life, and you could get it dirt cheap. You get a 10-year-old Corolla or Camry. Hey, it'd probably be a great car, but you're going to pay a lot more than you are for some old car that maybe doesn't have that much mileage, but it's so old, nobody's going to give much money for it. AL says, Scotty, please tell me what's better to buy as a new car, Nissan Patrol or Toyota Land Cruiser? Well, that depends. If you want something that really lasts a long time, is pretty much a gas hog, get a Land Cruiser. They can run forever. But if you're talking price, the Nissan Patrol costs a lot less money. It's your choice. If you want something that's going to last forever, get the Toyota. It'll outlast that Nissan by far. But it does cost quite a bit. That's your money. Personally, I wouldn't buy either one. I'd buy used versions of any Toyota because you can save a lot of money getting a used one. You're not going to save any money buying a new one. Ethan Reddick says, Scotty, what do you think of the old Jeep Cherokees? Okay, the old ones were decent vehicles. You'd either get that straight six monster engine that could run forever, the 4-liter, and they were decent built vehicles. Now, they were tremendous gas hogs. There's no arguing that. But even with the 6-cylinder, they were pretty quick vehicles. They were, back in the day, relatively well-made vehicles. If you didn't mind a gas hog, the trannies would wear out after a while because the engines were stronger than transmissions, but they were decent. The new ones, no, they're piles of junk. But the old ones, if you really wanted a Jeep, you're best to go back, get an old one that's been refurbished, or buy one and refurbish yourself. Considering what they charge for the new ones, you're cheaper off doing that, and you'll have a better vehicle that can last forever. Cookie Computer says, Scotty, hello, a friend of mine bought a 2017 Nissan Sentra, 15,000 miles from the dealership. Anything you should pay extra to make it last as long? Well, they're not very well-made cars. I feel sorry for the guy. Basically, change the engine oil and filter every 5,000 miles and baby it, because I'm assuming it probably has one of those horrible Nissan CVT transmissions, and I see them break all the time. And all the customers of mine that bought those things, all the CVT transmissions broke at some point in time. So just tell him to baby the thing, but I feel sorry for him that he bought it. They're horrible cars. The Soul Gamer says, Scotty, I've been looking at a 99 Ford XLT Triton V8 truck. They're asking $800. It has a bad battery and a squeaky U-joint in reverse. Been sitting a while. They're asking $700. Is that a good buy? It's an old truck. It's 21 years old. It's been sitting for a while. U-joints are going to need replacing. But that's nothing for a truck. If it actually runs and goes down the road on its own power and shifts, and it isn't all rotten and rusted away, like if you're up in Michigan, the salt ate it up, go ahead if you don't mind getting a truck that you're going to have to put some work into because it's old. But they were solid built trucks back then too, solid frames. So if you're handy and you want to do fixing stuff yourself, sure, but make sure it at least runs and shifts by itself and goes down the highway decently with a road test. Fine Art 8 says, howdy Scotty, is Car Shield warranty worth having? Well, let me tell you, none of the warranties are worth the paper they're printed on. I've had so many customers buy warranties, and then when they bring it to me, and I call up the warranty company, they say, sorry, that's not covered, sorry, that's not covered. Or they say stuff like, I'll tell them, okay, it needs this is $500 worth of work, and they'll say, well, we'll give you $200 for it. And I said, you don't understand, there's no bartering involved. I fix it the correct way, at the correct labor rate, with new parts that are original equipment, not some Chinese aftermarket crap. And they said, well, no, you got to use these parts, and we're going to pay you $200 for the whole job. And I just say, I'm not fixing it for that. I don't trust any of those things. You're buying an insurance policy. Who says whether something's covered? That insurance company. That kind of explains it all. Years ago, we had a big hurricane here in Houston. I had State Farm, which I changed after the hurricane because they screwed me over. They offered me $2,500, and they admitted there was $30,000 damage to the house, but they'd say, well, this is depreciated. There's $10,000 deductible for that, and yada, yada. They're all smiles when they're taking your premiums, but when you want to get money from them, good luck. Stay away from that stuff. It's a bunch of nonsense. Why do you think they advertise on TV all the time? Because they got to advertise like mad to sucker people to buy the stuff. Anybody who's ever actually had it, they find out that it isn't what the paper it's printed on most of the time. Amstaff94 says, Scotty, what do you think of the last generation Pontiac GTOs and Moneros? Well, they weren't that great considering that they went out of business. They don't make them anymore. Of course, the GTOs were always better because you're getting the V8 engine. That's a much better engine than the crappy engines and transmissions they put in the 4 and 6 cylinder Pontiacs, which are absolutely horrendous in the end. They were just terrible engines. It was a GM product, and it still had quality control problems. But on the other hand, say you find one that's got low mileage on it, some guys like them, and you can get them pretty dirt cheap these days too. So if you can find a dirt cheap one, you really like them, and you want a fun weekend toy, low enough mileage, you get it cheap, it could be okay for a while. JCPMO1 says, Scotty, help. I want to buy a twin turbo 3.6 EcoBurst with 365 horsepower Ford Explorer 2018 with 21,000 miles for $27K. What do you think? It's a 2-year-old vehicle. There's no way it's worth $27,000, and it's the twin turbo EcoBoost. I am not a fan of those in terms of long life. Now, if you're going to buy something like that, it's got 21,000 miles now, and you say you're going to get rid of it before it gets over 100,000 miles, it could be okay, but I wouldn't pay $27,000 for it. Realize that the value of those things plummet like a stone going over Niagara Falls. You don't want to pay too much money for a used vehicle. Somebody wants to buy a car that new and sell it with that low mileage, they're going to eat a lot of money. That's just the way that it goes. I would offer a lot less if you're planning on driving it, maybe 100,000 and then getting rid of it. They're not like Toyotas or Hondas. They're not going to go 200,000-300,000 miles. Not with that twin EcoBoost engine. Endazell says, will Subaru stick with that junk boxer motor? You know, they always seem to have done it, so I can't see why they're going to change anything anytime soon. They're all tooled and dyed in the factories for making those things. And they've got kind of a little unique niche there. It fits in their cars for a low profile. That's the main reason they went the boxer. Fit in a smaller space, so the cars would be lighter for racing. Some people like them, and they've been making them so long that I can't see them revamping all their production stuff. I'd more see they'd switch to electric motors in the future than try to go to a different type of gasoline motor since they've been making them so long. Adobe King says, Scotty, any ideas why a check engine light would stay on even when the car is off? Is it the alternator? No, generally that would be the battery light that would be on. If your check engine light stays on, that generally means that you either have a problem in your main computer or you have a problem somewhere in the sensor system feeding the computer that there's live voltage still going. Now, I've seen bad relays do that. I've seen bad ignition switches do that. Not the alternator, though. It's got to be something that's giving power to the data link system. I've even seen some where somebody messed up the plug and they bend it and then power's touching stuff and then it'll stay on too. But it has to do with that data link connector and all the wires in it that go to the computer and go to the sensors. Something shorted out the power somewhere. Nick Herrit says, Scotty got an 01 Lexus IS300, 2JZ GE. Looking to get more power. Where should I start? Love your work. I'd leave it alone. Those things are good enough for what they are. If you did want to get more power out of it, you'd have to do something like a turbocharger, supercharger. Costs a ton of money. It'll wear an old engine and transmission out faster. Those things are great for what they are. You want more speed? My advice, get a different vehicle. It's like some guys will get a Mustang and they'll soup it up. Okay, it's a Mustang. There's all kinds of kits to soup them up if you really want to. But the Lexus, not so much. I'd leave it the way it is. If you want a faster vehicle, I'd get another car rather than mess with that. Because those things will run forever the way that they're made. And they're plenty fast enough for normal driving. The Mugat family says, how often should you clean your car's filter? Well, as often as it gets dirty. It depends where you live. How dirty is it where you live? You know, if you live out in the country in the middle of nowhere where the air is clean, there's not much pollution, it might last a really long time unless you drive on a lot of dirt roads. Then all that dust is going to clog it up super fast. So my advice is every few months, just take it out and look at it. You can whack it against the fender if a bunch of dust comes off. That'll help. Then you get a vacuum cleaner, clean it off. But if you look at the sun with it, and you see it's all blocked with darkness, even after you clean it, then it's time to change it. That is more where you live. At least check it once a year and buy a quality filter. Don't buy a cheap filter. They don't work as well. They don't last as long, and sometimes their cheap particles will come through and clog stuff up on the sensors of the engine. So don't go out and buy the, $3.99 filters. Buy the good ones. JS said, I know you aren't a fan of PT Cruisers, but my '07 has 100K. It runs good. It did need a head gasket around 50K, but no issues since. Okay, if I had a car that blew a head gasket at 50,000 miles, I would blow my head gasket. I have cars that have 350,000 miles on them and still have the original head gasket. I'd be furious about that. But if you baby it, you got it. What the heck? Driving around. They are cool looking, Chrysler always had a thing about making cool looking vehicles. They didn't last that long, but they looked really good. Like the Sebring convertibles, they look really good, but boy, they didn't hold up over time. You have to put a head gasket in and hey, just baby it. Who knows how long it's going to last and driving around. But if I were you, if it blows again, I wouldn't fix it again. It wouldn't be worth it, really. Sergio Gonzalez says, is the quality of the San Antonio Toyota plant reliable? I live down the street from one. Yes, it is. And unfortunately, they used to make half of the Toyota Tacomas in San Antonio and the other half in Mexico. Now they're making all of the Tacomas in Mexico. I had a customer buy one. The radio was broken already at 1,600 miles. Unheard of. I'd never seen that. Any of the ones that were made in San Antonio. Now in San Antonio, they're only making the bigger ones. So, hey, if you can get one, a used one that was made in San Antonio, no problem. They were great. But I would stay away from the ones made in Mexico. Michael Washington says, I got an '07 Acura TSX. The oxygen sensor code causes the engine light to come on and off. Hell, here's the problem with codes. The PO codes are generic codes. Something like an oxygen sensor code, it can have a dozen different reasons that it's coming on. Give you an example. I just had one this morning. Guy brought it in and had both oxygen sensor codes. So I checked the oxygen sensors, and they were both pegged as lean as they could possibly be. And it also had codes for the engine was running. It was a V8 engine. Both banks, 1 and 2, were running way too lean. The oxygen sensors are just telling the computer it's running lean. There was nothing wrong with the sensors themselves. When you have those systems worked on, it's a very complex, computer-driven feedback system that measures residual oxygen in the exhaust system. That explains to you it's a really complicated system. And unless you're just happy at guessing by changing oxygen sensors, you best pay a mechanic like me to analyze that stuff. Now, some guys will just guess with oxygen sensors. Sometimes that's what the problem is. They just bolt on and off relatively easily, so it's not that big of a deal. But you don't want to just start guessing and guessing and guessing and guessing. The far as I'd go would be to change the sensors and see what happens. And there's a lot of companies out there like AutoZone that have real liberal return policies. You try and it still has the same code, a lot of times they'll take it back, say, well, it didn't work. And a lot of times they'll refund your money. So if you can do that, go right ahead, because it isn't going to cost you anything but your time. Chudjakov says, are 8-year-old tires still safe to drive? Well, generally they aren't, because the ultraviolet rays of the sun deteriorate the rubber. Look at them closely, and if you see a bunch of cracks, they're not safe anymore, even if they have a lot of tread. I mean, that happened to my wife's car ages ago when she had a Cressida. One day she's coming home and I'm driving, and around there she has 2 blocks inside of the road. I'm like, oh, it's a flat tire. So I look, and it still had 90% of its tread, because we don't put much mileage on our cars. But then I looked at all the tires, and they're all cracked, so I put 4 brand new tires on it. Then I checked it out, and the tires were like 10, 11 years old. And even though they had a lot of tread, got a big flat on that one because it's all rotten, and then they crack and leak, and then nails can go through it because they're all worn out and cracked inside. Look at them closely. Now, if they're not cracked, okay, but generally they'll be really cracked by then. Sergio Gonzalez says, do you think the new Toyota 86 will have a head gasket problem? Well, that's a very good question, because, of course, everybody knows the Toyota 86s are really Subarus with the boxer engines in them. I haven't seen any of the Toyota 86s blow head gaskets yet, so perhaps Subaru's figured out the problem in those things. I have not yet seen any of them blow any head gaskets, so it could very well be that they've fixed the problem they had with those head gaskets. I haven't seen it yet. If anybody out there sees it, please tell me. You got to keep up with what's good, what's bad. Things change over time, so you find problems like that, tell me, and then I'll do a little more research. I just haven't seen it myself, and I see Subarus all the time blowing head gaskets. Saul Goodman says, oh, you must be a Better Call Saul fan. Scotty, I have an '05 Toyota Matrix. The clock doesn't work. I got a price of $500 just for the clock. Yeah, that's Toyota stuff. That's just stupid. Go anywhere. Go to Amazon. Go to eBay. You can buy those little stick-on clocks. Stick it over there. They're digital clocks. They got a little watch battery in it. Wears out, and you can put another watch battery in. There's no sense paying that kind of money for a dumb little clock like that. It's just a simple digital clock. You can get plenty of stick-on clocks or whatever you want. Don't pay $500 for that. I mean, if you want, you go to a junkyard. They'll probably sell you the dash unit cheap enough for $20 or something. But I mean, really, let's face it, one of those little digital clock stopwatchy things. Some of them really have the sticky back on them. You can just put it right in the hole and stick it in. Willie Smith's Scotty Honda Fit 2010, 380,000 miles. City driving, a little highway. Should I keep it or get a new one? It's not a problem. I just want something new. Why not? Because 380,000 miles of mainly city driving is a lot of mileage. Things are going to be worn out. Eventually, if it's an automatic, the transmission will go out. The engine will start burning oil. Struts will go. It'll bounce too much. You had that much luck with one. Try another one. Fusion Box X16 says, if you live in Texas, do people make fun of you if you don't drive a pickup truck? That's the old image of Texas. I live in Houston, which is a very, very cosmopolitan city. Believe it or not, Houston is the most homogenized city in the United States. There's people from all over the world. There's Turks, there's Spaniards, Portuguese, Italians, Japanese, Chinese, Iranians, you name it. There's people from all over the world, and it's a real, true melting pot. Everybody mixes in here. You go to a baseball, football game, you're going to see people from all over the world. My customers are from all over the world. Hey, SUVs are king in Houston. They're all over the place. You see SUVs absolutely everywhere. Joe Everett says, lose money on the stock market, Scotty? Well, no, because I listened to my son. And interestingly enough, about 3-4 weeks ago, he said, you got to sell your stocks. They look like they're at their highs. He's really good at analytics. So I did. And man, was he right. Because I looked at the stocks that I sold, and I would be down over $200,000 from just 3 weeks ago if I wouldn't have sold them. He was smart. And guess what? I don't think I'm ever going to buy them again. Of course, I'm saying that now. If the stock market collapses, buy it back when it starts going back up again. Now, of course, it's impossible to figure out the highs and the lows to the exact point. If this thing ends up dumping 30, 40, 50% of its value, eventually when it starts going back up, hey, then you buy back. Wait till it starts to get high, then get rid of it. Anybody who understands stocks knows it's done that throughout history. And if you think it's going to go down forever, it's not. If you think it's going to go up forever, it's not. And it goes down a lot faster than it goes up. But I got to thank my son on that one. He hit the nail on the head. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.